Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to be taking a look at the second of the two animatronics I recently purchased on Facebook Marketplace. Now, unfortunately, neither of these came with boxes or, for that matter, instructions. But again, here is a hint toward who this guy is. This is the Jester of the Underworld, and he was sold by Home Depot a couple of years ago. He's a very detailed prop just from what I can see, and I can't wait to see what he looks like in person. I have to admit, I didn't really take a good look at him when I did the Home Depot walkthroughs a couple of years ago because, you know, the clowns and the jesters aren't necessarily my thing. At least it didn't used to be. But this year I am doing a carnevil theme, something I didn't think I was ever going to do. But I am excited to bring some of these creepy sort of carnival-esque characters to life. And this guy is actually going to be kind of a focal point of my party garage. So as I talked to you in the last video, some of my concepts, you're going to walk through the big fun house archway into my garage, which will be the fun house where the party food is typically. And I'm going to have the big creepy clown we reviewed a couple of videos ago standing over the drink cooler. I'm going to have the food on one side. I'm going to have an animatronic that goes along with food that I'm not going to tell you what it is because it's not anything new. You may have seen it before. But it's, I think, awesome, and I'm going to share that with you in a future video. I'm going to have some funhouse mirrors. That's a DIY project that I'm going to be doing with you a little bit later. And then in the back, I'm going to have some sort of a DIY curtain that will form a bit of a stage, a proscenium arch of sorts, and I'm going to have the Jester as if he is on stage entertaining people in the funhouse. So that's what this guy is. And as you can see, he's in a lot of parts and pieces. And it's a bit of a different sort of construction than a lot of the animatronics I've done before. For instance, the shoes that are all cloth. Normally we see there's some sort of molded plastic, but again, it's got lots of little details like the little skull that hangs off of it and the beadwork. Some of this costuming is amazing. I mean, it feels very high quality. Like it's something like if you were going to go rent a Jester costume, this is probably what you would get. I mean, this is actual fabric. It's not that cheap stuff that's like basically mesh and falls apart sometimes. This is high quality materials, and the sculpting work as well is very, very nice. So we're going to take a closer look at that as we get into it. But of course, first we have to get this thing put together. So let me go ahead and move the table out of the way and we'll get started. So I did get a good deal on this guy, not good enough to get the instructions, but fortunately you are able to find those online if you're trying to put this guy together yourself. I did give them a quick glance over just because this is a bit different than any of the animatronics that I put together before, but we should be able to sort of piece it together based on the lettering. You know, usually things are put together A, B, C, D. The lettering does seem a little off from the instructions from what I gathered, but let's see if we can figure it out. So we're going to start with this big base piece here. Now it does have an extra piece of metal here that we're going to have to connect to one of the leg supports. This is a very heavy duty base. It's actually a very heavy prop as I was trying to lug all the pieces upstairs. It's got a lot of extra supports. It's very well made. So the first thing we're going to need to do is put the leg pieces on. Now, I am orienting this base piece with this sort of extra bar in the front. So if you're trying to follow this video as any sort of direction to putting this together, you're going to want to start with that. All right, there's another leg piece here labeled B and a leg piece labeled C. And they are differently shaped, of course. So we're going to kind of follow the push pegs on each to figure out how to put this together. So I can see offhand that we need to put the piece with the hole in the bottom because you can't see it from that angle, but there's a peg on this side. So I think if we are, you can kind of just tell if we were to put this one on this way, that leg, especially if that's the front, it's going to be obviously wrong. So this is going to have to go this way so that his leg goes up and not out. So let's go ahead and connect this. All right, so we have the first piece in, and actually I thought it was going to be more oriented up, but it's actually kind of, you can see it goes back and then over to the side. That's because if you see the picture of him online, his legs are all very twisted up. But as long as it's going in the general upright direction, I think that's right. Plus, this other leg support has a cylinder attached to it that this extra support beam is going to plug into. So let's go ahead and find the hole on this one. It's right here, and we can now connect it. All right, so you can tell, oh yeah, his legs are very angled, so it's a very, very three-dimensional prop. Let's go ahead and see if we can connect this support bar down here. That just slides right in. That's going to help, I guess, because it doesn't stand straight up, it's going to help it from torquing and twisting all apart. Now that I showed you how to put those legs together, we're going to backtrack a little bit because we forgot to put on these funny little shoes. And again, they are strange. It's got fabric on the bottom as well. There is a sort of cylindrical shaped bit of fabric here where we are supposed to, I guess, go over the base for the foot and then kind of, I guess, just work it up through the inside, which is just all filled with that sort of pillow foam. I'm a little surprised again that there's not like a dedicated pathway, but let's just see what happens. With the shoe in place, it does make it a little bit harder to find the necessary direction that this pole is going to go into. I think we got it here. There we go. Now the second shoe. All right, now that we are basically where we were a few minutes ago, let's go ahead and put on these foam pads. Now, one foam pad has a slit in it, which is going to accommodate this extra bar that we see there to support it. So I just want to make sure that that slit goes down where appropriate to slide over that bar. I'm also going to tuck this foam right into his shoe. One down. Let's get the other one on. The next step is dreaded costuming. We have a pair of pants here. Again, it's very thick fabric. It's very narrow tapered legs too, so we're going to have to really work this over the leg pieces. There are a couple of different masks already tied onto the leg. I'm not going to bother taking those off just to show you how they were put on. It looks like they have just tied them onto the leg. It's some sort of decoration, I guess, but you can actually mix and match the different masks that go on the main character. So let's go ahead and slip these over the leg poles. All right, took a little finagling, but here we have the pants on. This little bar here that's supposed to be the support keeps popping out every couple minutes. I think we're just going to have to, put that back in at the last minute. One other thing to notice is that the instructions indicate that this direction is the front, but honestly, when you look at the pictures online, it's that direction that's the front. His legs are kind of, crossing in front of each other. So there we have the legs. The next step we need to do is put on the body mechanism, which fortunately is one big piece. So we've got some hips here that the pants are going to rest on. We have the control box. There is a volume control, it looks like. A plug for a step pad, and on, off, and sensor switch. And then we have a number of connections that we're going to make once we get this put in. So fortunately, this again can only go in one direction. There are pins and holes. So let's go ahead and pop this on here. All right. With this upper mechanism hooked on, I think it's going to be easier for it to remain stable so that these legs aren't moving back and forth whichever direction. So probably that pole at the bottom is going to stay a little bit easier now. I'm going to go ahead and pull these pants up. Oh, actually, before I do that, so, all right, I can already see we're going to need to start connecting some wires down here. There is a white cable and another white cable. I'm assuming we can just go up through this center hole in the plastic. Let's go ahead and get that connected. Let's go ahead and also plug in the power. So we have a very long cord here. It's got to be at least 10 feet. We'll go ahead and plug that in and then run this cable down his pant leg so that it will be less noticeable. Wish I'd done this maybe a little bit earlier. Let's go ahead and see if we can snake it down there. All right, that wasn't too hard, but notice these embellishments here on the pants. They have a lot of elastic in them that makes it a little difficult on the top and the bottom to fish anything through. So just going to take a little bit of finagling. On this leg, again, we have the masks. I'm going to pull them up maybe a little bit just to make that embellishment a little bit more visible. And I think they really just sort of sit there on his leg for some reason. I don't know why. Before we put the back on, there is a spine piece. So we're going to, again, turn him around. There is a set of cylinders up here at the top. Just slides right in. That's going to provide his back a little bit of body. We do have a couple of arm pieces that are going to hang off this upper structure. Again, it's the forks with the cylinders. But before we do that, let's go ahead and see if we can get the jacket in place, and then we can kind of finagle these up the arm sleeves before connecting them. One thing I don't like about this jacket, although it is very cool looking, it doesn't Velcro completely from behind, so you do have to sort of fish it over the infrastructure here. All right. There is also on the front of the costume an IR sensor for the control mechanism, which has a cable running through it. Let's go ahead and connect that now. There are a couple of different similar cables, but again, they're all color-coded. This one's red and blue. You connect it to red and blue. The other one's white. Connect it to white. And there are two arm pieces that connects to the upper mechanism. One is labeled L, and that's for the left side. The other, you'd think would be R, but it's J, I believe. I saw it somewhere. Yes, it's J. So we will start with that one. Let's go ahead and fish it up through the arm sleeve. All right. Now, once again, these sleeves are very narrow. It makes it a little hard, or a little challenging, I would say, to get the arm piece in place. And the other thing to notice is that, remember, these arm pieces are this long, and the sleeve is that long. So I'm not sure why or how that's going to end up looking, but we're just going to have to get it, I guess, the best we can and see how it looks. But let me get the other arm on and I guess we'll tell. All right. I guess it doesn't look too strange, but I don't know. He's coming together. Let's put the head on and see what happens. This, again, has a couple of prongs that are going to slide right into the cylinders up top. And then you can see there are a few wires that we're going to need to connect as well. He's coming together, very creepy. Of course, I seem to have forgotten the hands, so let's go ahead and put those on, one of which is holding this mask, and he's going to be doing something with it. There are some Velcro pieces on his hands to hold the sleeve together, so let's go ahead and make sure that's all connected. And he is done, I think. He's almost done. So I think the hands, the pins that go in the cylinders, are supposed to have little cotter pins that hold them on so they don't fall off. Mine did not have that. Maybe they never came with them. Maybe they just never came with my particular one. I don't know. But they seem to be holding in place. And for as little use as, I'm going to have them, I'm not really worried. And you've got the Velcro that's holding everything together too. So he seems pretty sturdy. So before I turn him on, let's go ahead and bring the camera in and we'll take a closer look. So it is definitely the costume that sells this prop. Of course, the mask itself is very creepy. We've had it laying around the house for a little while, and Tom has mentioned how scary it is. But look at the little details. You have these hanging skulls that would almost be like bells if you were a real jester. And then you have the beaded details. And then this is not just, the flat sort of fabric material that you often see. It's very full of the filling. So it gives it a lot of body. You have a lot of different layers with the frills around the collar, the hands, Look at those nails, how yellow and gross they look. The hands themselves are very sculpted. They have a lot of wrinkling and bone effects. Over on the other side, again, look at that nail. It looks absolutely like a fungusy, old, cracked, gross yellow nail. I like that the hands are different, as are these 3 masks. Again, you can choose which mask to have him hold. I like keeping the smiling and the frowning guy there on the leg, as if, it is the theater. And then the shoes themselves, again, with the same skull and bead detail. I love the black and white stripes, and then the different pattern as you move up the legs. Of course, we have the sensor in the middle of his body. So we look at these gross teeth again. Look how scary and realistic they look. If we move around to the back of the prop, we can open up the Velcro. So you do have easy access to the control unit, and then his costume Velcros together again up on that spine piece to give his whole back some shape. All right, the only thing left to do is test him out. I do have him plugged in. Let's go ahead and wave our hand in front of the sensor and see if he works.
We are going to have so much fun playing evil characters, and we've only begun. I have so many to choose, over a ton, but having trouble deciding which one. Every mask is horrific, even worse than the last. The performance top-notch and never outclassed. I'll strip away your courage until you have none, and soak up your terror when I am done. Consider yourself warned from my mirthful pun, that if you value your life, don't walk away, run!
That was quite the long phrase, actually.
There once was a jester from Dallas, who admittedly acted quite callous. When a passerby came, as part of his game, he treated them with pestilent malice.
I'm really not sure how his legs are supposed to go, but I guess we'll get that fixed eventually.
Boogie boogie, boogie boogie. I'm coming to get you.
All right, that's 3.
Happy dark, creepy Halloween to you. Are you excited for the sinister events about to unfold? If not, you are in the wrong place. Halloween always puts me in a frantic mood. I never know what crazy thing I'm going to do.
All right, so it looks like he just has the 3 phrases, which is a little disappointing for me, since, again, I'm going to make him that focal point of my party area. And I do actually want him running. A lot of the times I'll have the props, and I just want them as sort of like static background characters. But maybe, he would actually still be cool if he was just moving without the mouth and the eyes going. So I think, you can do that. If you just unhook the connectors to the face, then he'll still move around and hold the mask and still be awfully creepy. At least I think so. So let me know, what do you think? And do you have any other suggestions for creepy, carnival-esque, clown-esque characters to go in my carnevil theme this year? I really like this aesthetic. I mean, he's not necessarily a clown. He's obviously a jester. He would work well in like a medieval theme. Maybe I'll do that next year. But I think he's still going to fit in pretty well to our display. So before we go, I did want to say a special thank you to all the patrons who help support the channel. If you are interested in joining our Fright Club, you can check out the link to my Patreon page in the description below. That's going to do it for today. So thank you everyone for watching. Till next time, take care and happy haunting.